To ask, "Did you believe in God?" is to reach into a part of the human psyche that predates language, religion, and culture. It is not merely a theological inquiry, but a psychological one, perhaps the most intimate question a person can face. Beneath all creeds and doctrines, there exists within the human being an image, ancient and universal, of something greater than the self. This God image does not necessarily resemble the gods of temples or texts. It may emerge as a feeling of deep awe in the face of nature, a voice that speaks through dreams, or a moral compass that pulls us toward truth even when inconvenient. The existence of this image is not dependent on belief. It exists independently, embedded within the deep layers of the unconscious mind, like an inheritance from every soul that came before us. This internal image of God often arises during times of crisis, transformation, or profound solitude. It may confront us in the silence of despair, or rise unexpectedly in moments of beauty and grace. For some, it is the stern judge, for others, the nurturing presence, for many, a paradox beyond words, both terrifying and healing, whether one is a believer or skeptic. This inner image shapes human behavior, moral choices, and emotional life. It influences how we relate to authority, how we understand suffering, how we view the meaning of our lives. Even in rejection, the God image remains active. It simply manifests in other forms: ideology, obsession, fear, or rigid materialism. Belief or disbelief is not a simple affirmation or denial. It is a reflection of how we are relating to this psychic reality. And that relationship, whether conscious or unconscious, continues to shape our journey, our questions. Our longing for something deeper. Faith is often misunderstood as the possession of unshakable certainty, a firm yes in response to the mysteries of life. But the deeper truth is that faith begins where certainty ends. To believe in God is not to cling to rigid answers, but to participate in a living dialogue between the conscious self and the unknown depths of the soul. It is a journey of inner integration, not merely an ascent to doctrine or creed. The human being is not whole until the conflicting parts of the psyche, light and shadow, reason and intuition, doubt and hope, are confronted and brought into some form of relationship. Faith, then, is a dynamic process of engaging with the unseen, of listening for symbols that arise from the unconscious, of wrestling with images that may disturb as much as they inspire. The question, "Did you believe in God?" cannot be answered by a simple recounting of religious practice or personal affirmation. Instead, it invites us to examine how we moved through the questions, how we responded to inner conflict, and whether we allowed ourselves to be transformed by our deepest experiences. Faith may begin in childhood with inherited beliefs, but it must eventually be torn apart and rebuilt in the fire of personal experience. This often includes seasons of doubt, rebellion, or disillusionment. Yet these seasons are not failures of faith, they are part of its evolution. To truly believe is not to avoid darkness, but to enter it consciously, to allow the ego to be humbled and reoriented by the self, the deeper center of the psyche that carries the image of wholeness. Many who claim belief have never entered into this deeper process, while many who claim disbelief may in fact be walking a more honest and transformative path. Belief in this sense is not defined by outward expression, but by inner authenticity. It means becoming vulnerable to the unknown, allowing paradox to exist, and recognizing that truth often comes not as a conclusion, but as a presence. It is the willingness to see that the divine may not reside in the heavens above, but in the symbolic language of dreams, the rhythm of the seasons, the pull of conscience, the ache of longing, and the quiet voice that calls us to become more than we thought we were. The question, "Did you believe in God?" is not a test of religious allegiance, but a profound inquiry into the soul's inner landscape. It asks not what doctrine you followed, but how deeply you listened to your own darkness, to the stirrings of conscience, to the symbols that emerged from within. True belief is not about perfection, nor about clinging to absolute certainty. It is a living, breathing journey of integration between the conscious mind and the mysterious forces of the unconscious. To believe in God is ultimately to confront the image of the divine that resides within you, changing, maturing, and evolving as you do. Whether your path led through faith or doubt, the real measure lies in whether you walked that path with honesty, whether you dared to meet the unknown, and whether you allowed the sacred, however it appeared, to shape the truth of your becoming.